Zero gravity in space has a massive impact on our brain. This is the result of a new study. And this finally explains why a prolonged stay in space significantly impairs vision. So are longer journeys in space impossible? Clixoom Science Fiction. 3 science videos every week. Subscribe to the channel, only then will you not miss out on anything. A warm welcome.
1, 2, 3.
Staying in space is an ordeal. It attacks man's health in every way imaginable, and it is questionable whether man would survive a prolonged stay in space at all. And a new study on changes in the brain confirms new details. Basically, the problems start with general degeneration. Every month, people in space lose 1.5% of their bone mass. And training, as Alexander Gerst did, to slow down this degeneration has an extremely unpleasant side effect. Fever. The body of space travelers stays in the quiescent state approximately 1 degree over the normal value, which applies here on Earth. Bodies become warmer and warmer in space for about 2.5 months. Then, for example, the temperature level will settle at about 38 degrees Celsius, and this could have fatal consequences. Measurements show that the body temperature of astronauts often rises to more than 40 degrees Celsius. One study assumes that this constant space fever is caused by the circumstances there. It is difficult for the body to get rid of its excess heat in zero gravity conditions, and even if it does, sweat evaporates less than on Earth, and it is therefore less easily removed. And that's just one aspect. Vision also decreases in space. This is fatal. 70% of astronauts over the age of 50 who spent 6 months on the ISS complain about vision problems. Glasses had to be adjusted after the stay, and those who didn't have glasses now got some. And now a new study says the cause is fatal. The study examined 11 astronauts. They were on board of the International Space Station ISS for some time between 2014 and 2018. A brain scan was done before the spaceflight, 10 days after the return, and 7 months later. For comparison, they examined brain scans of people who had not left Earth. To be honest, the results are sobering. The stay on the ISS had massive effects on the brain. The brain ventricles, cavities in the brain filled with water, increased by an average of 12%. In the lateral ventricles, the figure was as high as 13%. A connection between this enlargement and the deterioration of vision could be proven. Of course, this is dramatic. On the one hand, it is of course questionable that health is permanently impaired after a stay in space, and on the other hand, the question is, what happens during longer stays, such as a flight to Mars? Do the ventricles expand further? What other damage do they cause? At the current stage, it is a risk that can hardly be calculated. You couldn't risk a trip to Mars. Meanwhile, the crew could suffer such damage that they would no longer be able to complete the mission. An absolute disaster. But there is one consolation. This expansion of the ventricles seems to be slowly receding on Earth. After 7 months on the ground, the expansion had decreased by half again. Health in space seems to be a really complex problem. As things stand at present, it could generally prevent longer space flights. For a Mars mission, we would have to solve this problem and also the other challenges so that the journey does not end in a catastrophe. For more specifics on what space travel does to the human body, click right here. Until then, stay tuned and see you soon.